I mean, ask yourself, can you stop your feeling? Can you stop your form from deteriorating? Can you prevent perceptions from besetting you? Can you not choose? Well, samsara is usually translated as rebirth, but it's really, literally, the meaning of samsara means to wander on, keep wandering onwards, just keep going, keep going. So, and it is a better, it certainly sheds clearer light on the idea of samsara than the word rebirth, because rebirth means like this life and then the next life, and then in between is just me sort of passing from one life to the other. But it's not really that you're being reborn, it's more like just you still are, just here and there and elsewhere, on and on and on. The simile the Buddha would give is just like a man who went to one village, and from that village later on he went to another one, and then to another one, and then to another one, and then to another one. So it's still like the man just going through all these different places. You here now and then somewhere else, like without these memories, without these recognitions, but same sort of set of aggregates, same point of view, is just wandering on. Like you go to sleep, you wake up another day, then you go to sleep, you wake up as an animal. I mean, I'm overly simplifying it, but I want to illustrate it. That's like sometimes reflecting upon samsara in the suttas would have an impact on people in a sense of I better practice. Because if you talk about rebirths, it's sort of out of your hands. It's just how the universe works. You just come, you're just reborn here and there. But the birth in itself, it's not the beginning. So if you think from that point of view, you realize, like, well, imagine, like, for example, if somebody were to offer to you, would you start this life again? Say you go back and become a toddler, without being able to keep all the memories and everything you've been through that you know now. That has to be erased. Would you go through the same ordeal again? Just in the life that you already know, let alone a realm that you have not familiar with or something like that. And actually, when you think about it, usually the appeal is behind, I'll keep my memories and then I can start the same. Like when people think about, and that's when they think about rebirth, as if, you take things with you and so on, and then you better yourself through rebirth. No, it's just erasing, but you're still there. So it's just somebody wipes you clean and then you start again. And knowledge is gone as well, the stuff that you learn and experienced. So would you want to do it again then? And then it will make you think twice, because you might make even worse choices than you did in your life. That pressure of having to choose, having to act, being in the environment, it's like, in hindsight it can be pleasant, but when it's there it's never pleasant. So if you realize that samsara is that point of view that you are bound with, and that you will, like, unless you develop wisdom and practice Dhamma correctly, that you will be then just repeating it on and on, just wiping the slate clean here and there and elsewhere, but still going through the same things, on and on and on and on. And that's what Buddha meant. There is nothing that you haven't been already. Beings have been in samsara for so long that you've been everything. You've been mother and the father and the killer and the killed and every animal. You've been everything. You've been around so long. The tedious repetition that you have no memory of, that's basically what samsara is. So then you realize this life is not like, now I'm born, samsara's waiting for me. No, this is already that wandering on. It's one of many wandering on. And the directions you choose based on your actions and choices you make are the directions you will wander on later. It's setting you up for it. That's why beings are the owners of their actions, and the actions the choices you make, things you do, determine then where you're heading. Well, you are not in samsara. Samsara is not the universe that you inhabit. Samsara is your experience as a whole. So what you have now is what samsara is. So in the same sense, you can recognize certain tedious repetition of like day-to-day things. Just extend that into infinite. Extend it like into the next life and so on. day, month, year, 100 years is just repetition. Perpetually just repeating, because you forget, you lapse, you lose the memory of. And that's what Buddha said, even if somebody can remember the previous lives, the previous wanderings on, the directions they've been in, all they would remember is these 5 aggregates that they have now. So the 5 aggregates, which is your experience as a whole, matter, feeling, perception, intentions, consciousness, there is nothing outside of that. Samsara is that. It's the aggregates that are bound with ignorance to keep repeating basically infinitely until you make the effort and maybe uproot that division. Yeah, the content changes while the aggregates remain the same. And that's the whole point. That village, the point is you are still wandering on. So that's what I mean, you don't have, and it's not like, oh, this is metaphorically speaking, samsara is already here. No, factually, what this life already is, it's already wandering on. I mean, ask yourself, can you stop your feeling? Can you stop your form from deteriorating? Can you prevent perceptions from besetting you? Can you not choose? Can you not be can you just switch off your consciousness? You have no say in any of these aggregates. They're just flowing already. Coming and going, so to speak. Taking directions. So that's already what samsara is. You don't need the belief and proof of next life, because you're already not in control of these aggregates. And they're already taking you in directions that often you don't even want to go. And certainly forcing you to endure things. So here's the samsara. You don't get it more directly than that. So yeah, death is not the end. In birth is not the beginning. It's just like rearrangement of the same thing. Another way of repeating it. So you don't need a memory of previous lives or like a special insight into future lives to see samsara as wandering on already, something you're fully engaged as we speak. Well, yeah, you are doing it. And you can't just stop it, because there will be another choice within the samsara. Another choice within the aggregate of choice, within the aggregate of sankhara. Can you not choose? Can you abstain from choice without that being another choice? You can't. So you're fully within it. You have to do it. Can you not feel? Is that even conceivable? Can you imagine your existence in the most abstract terms without the form, without the body enduring there? Impossible, inconceivable. So you're fully under the weight and control of the aggregates, for which direction you're only responsible. Like, you can't control them, you can't stop them, you can't tell your aggregates go this way or that way. But you can only then start making the choices of a wholesome kind as opposed to choices of unwholesome kind. And in that indirect manner, maybe improve the state of your aggregates and so on. And you can, again, not in 6 lifetimes, in this life as well. If a person starts practicing sense restraint, they will naturally, their mind will develop more patience, more calmness, more self-composure, more self-restraint and strength. And that's already something that will make this wandering on in this life much more endurable, much more agreeable as well. Is being impatient suffering? Is being impatient pleasant or unpleasant? It's very unpleasant. When you want something, you can't get it. Or you don't want something, but you can't get rid of it, you have to endure it. You're not patient. But is that patience given? Or you develop it? Either by circumstances forcing it upon you and you have no choice about it, or actually if you foresee it and start making effort in the direction of developing patience. There's just one example. So by making choices of wholesome kind in this life, by not pursuing sensuality sort of carelessly, without any restraint, without any regard for others, not being immoral, not being non-virtuous, not being harmful to others, by making that effort to keep yourself in check, you're actually developing patience, which means the endurance of this samsara, of this wandering on, you will be able to tolerate it more. The pressure as well. Because you learned it, you developed that tolerance. And that's the thing, tolerance needs to be developed. It's not God-given quality. If you invest effort in it, it will grow. If you don't, it will shrink. And then you will be even more pulled by the aggregates, by the desires, by the feelings. And then your wandering on will be even faster, more hectic, more distracted, like an animal. And that's why when rearrangement of this form occurs, but your mind was the mind of an animal pretty much, that's the form you're going to be assuming. And that's what Buddha said. If somebody behaves like an animal in this life, that's the realm they're heading. If you're behaving even worse, that's the realm. Not the realm, like again, figure of speech, not the realm as this place that waits for you. It's just you're wandering on. When he has this like a wiping of that slate clean and restarting it, that will be the form, that will be the means of engagement that it assumes, because that's what the mind has been cultivating. Because that's what the body is, by the way. It's like means of engagement with the world and the sense objects. So what you chose to engage with, the way you chose to engage with your body, that's basically where your mind is heading. So next time you might get a body that's more suitable for the level of engagement that you want and expect. So if your mind was engaging with sense objects on the level of like animal passion and madness and thirst, you're going to get a body that's much more suitable. That's why dogs have a smell 500 times stronger than humans. Because that's how many times they're more pulled by the sense objects than humans. 500 times. You might smell something nice, but will not make you lose your mind. Well, dog will lose its mind. But if you don't make the effort and you start giving in to losing your mind on account of sense objects, yeah, you're going to get senses then. They will support that, what you want, basically, what you keep choosing. Or if you like develop sort of choices, they will abstain from sense objects. Then you don't need sense organs. So when the rearrangement happens, so to speak, you're going to get much less of sense organs. So like in the suttas when the Buddha would describe the celestial type of bodies, they're much more refined. You wouldn't even call them bodies from our point of view what the body is. But again, future life, previous life, doesn't matter. What matters is to recognize the nature of aimless wandering on. And any aim you might have within that wandering on, it's fundamentally aimless. So even if you have some great purpose in this life, mundane purpose, not purpose of enlightenment, it's a mundane purpose, which means it's not really changing the state of that aimless wandering on. So your aim is only relative, and when the time comes for things to rearrange, they will, and that aim will make no difference. In other words, you cannot prevent form from deforming, getting sick and dying. Just inconceivable. So you're on borrowed time every time. So if you want to have like a simplified example of what would correspond to rebirth, it's not about being born again or dying. It's really about losing the memory, and that's why beings are bound to like constant pointless repetition of the same things, because they have no recollection that they've already done this billions of times. Because if you did, you wouldn't want to do it anymore. You would really want to leave that state of affairs. Imagine now somebody comes and wipes your memory, just the memory. So your body is still intact, you're still alive, but completely, utterly, your memory, recognition, everything you know, including yourself, is gone. So for you, if you were to wake up from that state, although somebody who can see externally would see, yeah, it's still the same person, same body, but from your point of view, the body, everything, it would be a new thing. But it's not a new thing, isn't it? But it's a new thing from that internal point of view, because you have no memory of it. And that's exactly what rebirth is. It's just losing the memory of recognizing that it's not, the aggregates are not new, never were. You're just going to keep going and going. Ignorance in regard to it has no beginning. So that's why you should be concerned about death and dying, is because everything you learn, even the wisdom you got, unless it was of a substantial kind, will most likely not play much part. Then all you can do, and that's what the Buddha would say, if people wanted to have a better rebirth, you focus on doing wholesome things. Because as I explained, simply by cultivating certain habits in the mind, when your memory is wiped clean, you're going to start using the body from the point of view of the habits you cultivated before. So you don't have explicit memory of the habits, but the inclinations are there. And inclinations in this life, yeah, you're responsible for, but as inclinations, they're probably because you've been choosing those things many times before. So it doesn't mean that you can now just carelessly give in to inclinations. It just means the presence of inclination is due to previous habits. which then also means you could reshape them. If your inclinations are bad, double down in doing good things in this life so you develop good inclinations. So then in the next life, those inclinations will be what inclines you and directs you. Without that wisdom, without memory to recall on. So that's really what that rebirth within samsara is. In making you start again without knowing that you're starting again. It's like the best trick.